Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Horror movies get a bad rap. They're cheap thrills, mindless gore, not cinema, blah, blah, blah.
But we here at Sitting in the Dark know better. We know that horror is more than just jump scares and chainsaws. It's a reflection of our deepest fears, our anxieties, Okay, and there's a lot of jump scares and chainsaws.
Join us, Pete Wright, Tommy Metz III, Kyle Olson, and Keenan Diaz, as we cut into the dark heart of horror cinema.
Every episode, we explore a different facet of the genre, from survival horror to home invasions, from zombies to birds. We tickle the tropes, analyze the angles, and sharpen our own axes along the way.
We'll introduce you to the classics that shaped the genre.
Then the modern masterpieces that are pushing the boundaries of terror.
Sitting in the Dark is your guide to navigating the terrifying, thrilling, and sometimes hilariously bad world of horror movies.
We'll help you understand why we love to be scared.
And maybe even convert you into a horror fan yourself.
So turn off the lights, close the basement door,
and join us.
Sitting in the dark.
In a world where podcasts are a dime a dozen, one show dares to stand out from the rest.
The Film Board, a podcast unafraid to tell it like it is.
We're here for one reason and one reason only: downloads.
That's right. We review new release movies because that's what gets people's attention.
But just because we're in it for the clicks doesn't mean we don't take our job seriously.
We're part of the Next Reel family of film podcasts, and we're proud of it.
Our reviews are just as insightful and thought-provoking as any of our other film podcasts.
It's just that this podcast is all about that sweet, sweet SEO.
The nectar squoze from the tree of Bing.
We're only human, but we're also creators.
And creators eat clicks to survive.
So if you want honest, unfiltered opinions on the very latest movies right on opening weekend,
delivered with the self-awareness of a team looking for downloads,
then tune in to the Film Board,
where every download counts, but yours counts the most.
Welcome to Take 10.
Take 10. It's been a minute since we've done this, so usually I have Rob with me, but today I don't. So I'm going to introduce my co-host so we can, before I do all the business, because I don't want you to just sit there awkwardly as I'm going through all this stuff. So joining me is podcast impresario, Pete Wright.
What happened to Rob exactly?
Rob is actually traveling at the moment. So it happened to be that he is going to see his favorite band of all time, Mike and the Mechanics. In London.
I was hoping for something scandalous, and then you said Mike and the Mechanics.
He's very excited about it. So yeah, he's full on. And he's either, by the time you're hearing this, he's probably on the other side of the pond.
Yes.
It's been a minute since we've done this, so I understand that people might be confused. So Take 10, the premise is really simple. We pick a premise, whatever it's going to be. We've done animated sequences, we've done favorite college albums, and we're basically each have 5 things that we're going to talk about, not the definitive list, not the best thing ever, but the things that meant the most to us. So we start on a slightly somber note, as we recently lost one of the big actors of our generation, especially Val Kilmer. But he's a person that had meant a lot to us as we were growing up, and to a lot of people. And so we wanted to do a little something that we could do. So this is not a memorial. This is a celebration. We're going to talk about each of us brought the 5 performances of Val Kilmer that meant the most to us. And I expect there will be some crossovers.
But I was told that I should come with like 30 of my favorite performances in case there are crossovers.
We're trying to get to 10. So, I guess if at the most, it probably made 15. But I like that you did the homework, because a lot of people
I did a lot of homework. Yeah. No, I watched movies for this. Like
wow.
I did the work.
We recently lost Gene Hackman, but Gene Hackman made it a good long time. And also he was sort of from that a previous generation.
Yeah, like he was my dad's Val Kilmer.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And so like this is for us, it was somebody who was, within our same age, that when we started really watching movies, he exploded. And so we were like, all of a sudden, there was a whole time period where it was like he was a top marquee name above title. So like, you went to see him specifically because he was in a movie, in the same way that we actually don't, like, he's sort of almost the last generation of that kind of star. There aren't very many of those anymore. There's of the Tom Cruise sort of name.
That's it.
To his.
No, he really defined. You could chart, I think, through these movies, my own interpretation of identity. Like, I would see a Val Kilmer movie and I think, yeah, I'm going to bring that into my own stuff. He's that cool.
He's that cool. That's what
cool.
it came down to. I mean, like, there's some people where you're Daniel Day-Lewis's or whatever too, where you're like, I know what you're doing is incredible, but I don't really know what you're doing. They're sort of austere. They're a little bit more, but Val Kilmer was just cool.
Yeah.
And found different ways of doing that too.
Incredibly broad range what he could pull off. And I think he's remembered, for those who didn't, who weren't actually trafficking in Val Kilmer, I think he's remembered as a Hollywood pretty boy of an era. And when you go back and start looking at some of these performances that he can pull off broad comedy with an absolute straight face against it, and he can pull off Westerns, and he can pull off mob, like, the guy has an incredible range. And I think that's why this conversation is important, to at least allow us, Pete and Kyle, to put our stamp on the breadth of a guy who may have been underappreciated for his just straight up talent, because he was being so appreciated for his just handsomeness.
Yeah. He was a character actor who unfortunately was gifted with an incredible body. His look, like, it's one of those things where, like, if he'd have been uglier, he probably wouldn't have been as popular, but he probably would have done a lot more, or been offered a lot more interesting, exciting things. I mean, like, you would never see Tom Cruise wanting to go and play Mark Twain.
Right.
But Val Kilmer did.
Well, I don't know. We may have just have not entered the Twain era of Cruise.
That's
yet,
true.
So
that's true.
It's just for us to wait.
Well, so as you mentioned, I think I'm going to start out with, because it's my show.
I see.
And there has to be the one. Okay, so everyone dreams of a role like this, and so we have to start out with, of course, the biggest one on there, which is my hypocrisy knows no bounds, because Doc Holliday in Tombstone. I want to, like, I know that we have some of the listeners who are younger than us, but I cannot tell you the atomic bomb that dropped on us when Tombstone came out. Like, it's enough that, like, you have some stuff that comes out now that's like a modest hit, but like, Tombstone came out and was like a Marvel-sized hit. It was a Western which nobody expected, with a cast full of people who weren't marquee names, but were really good actors. And then this amazing conglomeration of a fantastic script, which is endlessly quotable, and an amazing array of people that even people who have one or two, like, people have one or two lines in this, and are giant stars of their own right, and they just come in for one or two scenes. And Billy Bob Thornton is in one scene of this movie.
That's right.
But it wasn't just like it came out and it was a good movie. Like, everybody saw this movie. And nobody expected. It was a 4-quadrant movie. Like, everybody went to see it and went to see it again and again and again. What are your memories of when Tombstone came out?
Well, I think you and I are from places that have a similar sort of legacy of tuberculosis. Was Phoenix a tuberculosis town?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
That was where people would go to recuperate from it because of the dry atmosphere.
Right. Well, I'm originally from Colorado Springs, my formative years, and Colorado Springs is a town that would not have existed were it not for the tuberculosis industrial complex. Like, it was put on the map because of the first, and you'd go as a kid, you would go and you'd see the lines and lines of people in black and white with their throats open to the sun. Do you remember those? Like in the sort of sanatorium, like, it was a horrible legacy of disease. And, I remember having seen all of that as a kid, and then going to see this movie and realizing that Doc Holliday was dying of TB, and suddenly my entire world exploded, because I hadn't seen someone who had until then committed TB to film. It was an extraordinarily tragic portrayal of this dying, deeply human gunslinger. And it was the first time I feel like I'd seen something like that was made in my era. Everything else, all the other great gunslingers were my dad's. And so this was an extraordinary treat to feel like I had a little bit of ownership of a Western and could connect to Dad in a new way. So it's incredible.
I remember going to see it with my dad as well, because he was the odors, he used to call them. That was the term from back in the time, that the Westerns had sort of died out and were not a thing. Like it's not like it was a rat, like where a bunch of stuff comes out. Like right now, the Megan effect is like, now there's all these like, women robots. Like all of a sudden there's this huge slot. There was nothing. Like there was no other. There was the Wyatt Earp movie that Kevin Costner came out about roughly the same time period, but it wasn't like a movement. Like Westerns were not a thing. This came on the red from Disney, from Touchstone technically, but from Disney. And it was amazing watching. And also I can only imagine watching it, the executives who will later go on to watch Johnny Depp, like the dailies come in from Pirates of the Caribbean and going, what is that guy doing? Because it's out there. Like he's not doing anything like anyone else in the movie. He has a different voice, different look. He's, like you said, he is literally dying on screen. Like this is a guy at the end of his life, and yet is the coolest character, and not the main character either.
Right. And yet he's the one you remember.
Focus.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah. I had the poster on my wall. I still have a friend that we go back and forth with lines from Tombstone. It's like the Princess Bride in terms of like so many lines. Are you going to do something or just stand there and bleed?
There and bleed. Oh my God. You're going to skin that smoke wagon.
Or even like in this middle of this Western battle, there's a duel of Latin. There is. Doc Holliday and Johnny Ringo start quoting Latin to each other. And even when we were doing research for this, I actually looked up. I'm like, I never even knew what it was. And I read all of what they were saying and the translations. And I was like, oh, like all these years, in vino veritas, like I knew. And I've even wrote that into swashbuckling scripts because of this. There's an episode called that because he uses that quote in this movie. I can't. It's like we could spend this whole episode just talking about the amazing performance that is Doc Holliday, but unfortunately, there's more.
There is more. I'm a little bit surprised that you opened the bidding with Doc Holliday, because I mean, this is a draft. It's also a bit of a game, and I think had I picked it, it was going to be much closer to my top picks. I'm starting at the bottom.
Okay, interesting.
My top 5 starting at the bottom. And they should all be number 1 because I love them that much. But I am going to start with a movie that I love because of the way it challenges genre, and it puts Val Kilmer in a character, once again, like Doc Holliday, that I don't feel like I had seen before. And that is Gay Perry Van Shrike in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Now, I do that for multiple reasons. You are, as we record this, in the midst of your season of Iron Man, and so we got to just throw in the Shane Black, connection, and the Robert Downey Jr. connection. Yeah, but really, I think Gay Perry, Kilmer's turn as this private detective in this noir, like neo-noir comedy, is just hilarious and razor sharp. And in the mid-2000s, his career was not what it was when we were growing up watching Val Kilmer. And this performance really helped to revive what he was doing and what he was capable of as an older man. And so now we've got this LA private investigator sort of mentoring and snarking at RDJ, who is a completely bumbling, comic element in this thing. And I think that this incredibly openly gay, sassy PI character was so perfect. His deadpan timing was It just made everything he did on screen pop. He was just full of the charisma, every bit of the charisma that I remember from when I was watching him as a kid, and I was rediscovering him as an adult. It was perfect. What do you think of Kiss Kiss?
I love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That's one of my alternates. I put that on there. I was actually looking because I sort of pulled quotes from all this stuff, and like every quote I pulled from Kiss Kiss Bang Bang had something that I would have to edit out.
Yeah,
I'd have to put a beeps on it. I was like, oh, I forgot how foul mouthed that movie was. But
yeah,
that was. Luckily, it's a good movie, but it's also an important movie because it's a linchpin in a lot of things. Because Val Kilmer was, while he was very talented and we liked him, was also known as being very difficult. And I think if you watch the Val Kilmer documentary, you'll see them address some of that. And so he had a reputation as being not easy to work with. Robert Downey Jr. had his own set of troubles and was not thought to be stable enough to be a lead in a movie. And Shane Black essentially took all the capital he had built up from a couple successes, and this was his blank check movie. Like, this was his putting it all out there to try and get something like, this is the movie I've always wanted to make. And with these two quote unquote troubled stars, from that an amazing amount of work came. And we would not have Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, one of the preeminent, of the 2000s performances of all times, without Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
100% correct. Absolutely. Because this movie allowed us to forget that Robert Downey Jr. went to sleep on some stranger's couch in the middle of the night while high on cocaine.
As SNL will like to mention multiple times during this time period.
Exactly.
When I heard about his passing and stuff too, that was like quickly went on to my list of like, oh, I really need to, I've been waiting to watch it again because of how much we've been talking about this. But like, The Nice Guys came up a lot as we've been talking about Iron Man 3 on the Marvel Movie Minute. And so, but then you don't get The Nice Guys without Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And so now that has like shot up to the top of my list too. So yeah, that's excellent choice.
I can't believe it's an alternate for you. I feel like we need to litigate that later.
All right, we don't have to. My next one, we got to go, is not the first time I saw Val Kilmer, even though chronologically it's the earliest of my list. It's something I found on VHS years later because when it came out, it was a ginormous flop. And that's, I mean, when you think about it, Pete, you got to give it a push, you got to give it a shove, but sometimes you got to straighten the rug. So
it's not going to cut itself, Kyle.
No, it's not going to cut itself. So Top Secret. This is the ones like Airplane came out and was ginormous, Airplane 2, and then Top Secret came out and nobody went to see Top Secret. And yet I think it's probably the best movie the Zucker brothers have ever done. It is so packed with sight gags and dialogue gags and editing gags. I mean, there's so much and some really, really dirty jokes. Stuff that you couldn't even do now. I mean, like from 1981, it's wild that they were able to get away with this, and I guess maybe the box office shows that. But he is such a great. Now I know a lot of people probably haven't even seen this, so the basic premise is it's an Elvis movie set in World War II, and
as you
do, and so Val Kilmer obviously is playing like he is a rock and roll star who's then brought into like the war. And antics ensue. When did you first Top Secret first cross your path?
I'm so glad you asked, Kyle. Allow me to tell you a story.
Please do.
Once upon a time, I was a young boy out riding. I said I was from Colorado Springs, but before Colorado Springs, I was from Oklahoma. So I come from agricultural people, and we had horses. And there was a time when I was out with my father and my uncle, and we were each on our own horse, and we had gone for a ride. And at one point, we finished the ride. We came back into the stable area, and I was probably 8 at the time, and another horse came up behind me while I am on the horse and mounted that horse with me in the middle of it and started doing his business. Sure. And as you can imagine, my dad and my uncle found this hysterical as I was the creamy center of this particular horsey Oreo cookie. Now, years go by, and I'm sitting watching this movie with my dad. We had never seen it. I think it was, HBO or something. And we turned it on, and there's a sequence in this movie where two guys are playing the front and back half of a cow, and another cow, a bull, comes up and does its business and goes, let's just say, all the way. That's the humor. And my dad says, "My God, that's like you." And I will never forget that moment. So that is a connection that is branded, as you might say, into my cerebral cortex. That's like you. I love this movie. The songs. I think it wasn't on my list, even though I'm glad it made it to the list, because I think it really demonstrates. Again, we're talking about the incredible range of this performer, like that he's able. I think it was Ebert who said, like, the Top Secret has no plot; it has Val Kilmer, and that's really important, because if you take Val Kilmer out, how many actors can you think of that are charming enough, good looking enough, talented enough as musicians, like singers, to be able to pull off this craziness with a straight face? And I think he just absolutely crushes it. The musical numbers are very, very funny. The fact that it opens with, what is it, skeet surfing?
Yeah.
If everybody had a surfboard and a shotgun is, and it's not like it's just a bit on a commercial. They do the whole video with the beach beauty bikini babes, like launching skeet into the air. It is just priceless body humor, and you're right, it deserves attention.
Peter Cushing as
Peter Cushing with a giant eye.
Yeah. I mean, oh man, I could just it's one of those ones that sometimes you see a comedy once and you're like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
But like, I go back to Top Secret and it's so packed full of jokes that I'm laughing because I totally had forgotten something that happens.
Yeah.
Because it's just like that, just a joke machine gun where they were just bang, bang, bang. Yeah. I think and you're saying it only works because you have a strong person at the center who can carry, and for being as young as he was too, to be carrying this movie on his shoulders, like,
truly
impressive.
I guess it's my turn.
It is your turn. What have you got? So now this will be number 4, I guess, on your list, right? You're going.
This will be 4 on my list. I'm gonna do another comedy.
Okay.
I'm gonna do that. This would have been my first comic pick. It is, in fact, my first comic pick, and it came out only a year after yours with Top Secret. This is 1985's Real Genius.
Ooh, our first steal.
Excellent. Oh, I'm so relieved to hear that I have a steal on the board. So Val Kilmer is a super laid back, super genius at a super genius university for super geniuses. He's a physics prodigy. He would much rather pull pranks and goofs and gags than study and follow rules. And his gags are really, really bright, because he's a super genius. Did I mention he's a super genius? The thing is, the movie isn't about Val Kilmer, right? No. Val Kilmer is a secondary character to its principal story. I couldn't tell you the name of the actor who is the central character of this movie, although I liked him very much. He did fine. Val Kilmer is the reason to watch this movie, and it's yet another one where I came out of the theater saying, I'm going to see that again right now, and I'm going to up my logo t-shirt game, because I need more funny logo t-shirts that nobody understands. Yes. That was that piece of identity. And
I have that t-shirt. I still have that t-shirt from
there you go. There you go. I think he adds these layers of once you get past the goofiness and you get into the Laszlo Allefeld kind of heart of the movie, he adds this charisma and some really surprising warmth for a secondary character who we get to know as a prankster. And that makes this like funny and deeply likable. Like he's not someone who we feel deserves to be punished in any way for all these antics.
Yeah, it's one of those like you sort of draw the line. Like you have you have like Val Kilmer, and then you have like Matthew Perry, and you have like Ryan Reynolds. Like it's the family tree.
That's so perfect. Yes.
Like all of them have that thing where they're just handsome, charismatic, but also extremely funny. But it's like, you should not be this good looking and this funny.
Yeah.
It's like this, something was able to distribute, but he gets away with it because he has this charm. And so like anybody else could have played the same character, Chris Knight, as a real jerk or a bully too. But
a bully. That's the hard left turn, that this character could have been played as a bully in the same script.
Yeah. I mean, but instead he's just sort of this dropout who doesn't want to drop out. He's super smart, but doesn't want to apply himself. So it's this interesting place. But yeah, I love the movie. I can tell you that movie works because it's funny. Before he even passed, like a couple weeks ago, I was describing the plot of Real Genius to some of our college students, because I work at a college, just explaining the premise of it. I don't even know how it came up organically. And they were laughing just at me describing the plot of Real Genius, like without even having ever heard of it before. I was just describing like sort of what happens in the laser and the shoe polish and all of this and the ice slide and all of these things. And they were laughing. I'm like, wait till you see it. Like, yeah, I'm just giving you like the 10-minute version, but it's one of those things that has aged very well.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said, I drank what?
Ever have that dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you? Why am I the only one who has that dream?
So good. So good. Okay, so that's Real Genius. That's
Real Genius.
My 4.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've already put together an amazing film festival for you. Okay, so my next one will be actually the first movie that I ever saw Val Kilmer in, and he essentially defined my definition of what an action hero is, because he was the greatest swordsman who ever lived. That's Madmartigan in Willow from 1988. Another one of these movies that came out of nowhere. No one was doing fantasy. And then suddenly Ron Howard's like, I want to do a fantasy movie, and did this. And again, not a huge hit, but that movie was everything to me for that time period. Yeah. Like I was even the morning I woke up and my wife's like, I have some bad news. Val Kilmer died. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, we lost Madmartigan. Like that was the first thing that she said, because that's how much she knows that how much that movie meant to me. Like, and specifically his performance in it. Like he was the guy. He was the like, there was Han Solo and there was Madmartigan. Like that was my definition of like really male cool action hero guy.
So this I'll let you keep going, but I just have to say I was not a Willow guy.
Really interesting.
I just never.
It is a flawed movie. I will not go to my grave saying Willow's the greatest film ever made, but I can tell you that like the performance of Madmartigan in that movie is, I think, up there with some of the best action heroes of all time.
Well, I was having this conversation with Matthew Fox, our Marvel Movie Minute colleague, and Matthew has officially told me, because I said the same thing, and Matthew already threw down the gauntlet and said, you have to go watch Willow again. You will change. You have to see Madmartigan, because Matthew's also a big Madmartigan person.
Yeah.
So I'm on it. I've got my assignment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the, maybe the reason why the Willow series didn't work is because no Madmartigan. I don't know. But it's like, if they're ever going to, do a series of the young Madmartigan Chronicles, how we got to the like, man, call me up. I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. What you got?
I mean, that was a short entry. Is it my turn already? Again?
Already.
Oh dear. It gets tricky. Mm-hmm. It does get tricky. I have a performance in a film that I want to put on here, but maybe it should be an honorable mention.
Okay.
Because it's a movie. Yeah, this is the deal. It's a movie that I don't recommend people go out and watch, because I don't like the movie very much, but I really, really like him in it. I'm going to hold it. Here we go.
Okay.
You can cut all that if you want.
It's fine. No, they need to hear the process.
Here's
calling an audible. You're switching
That's
it
right.
up.
That's right. I'm thinking. So this next one is another one that it came out late. I was an adult when this came out, and I love it like I was a child because it addresses all of the things, all of my sort of deep inner child fantasy aspirations of being a spy. I'm talking about 1997's The Saint. He played Simon.
Another steal. I have
Outstanding.
I have that on there because specifically for Rob. Like Rob would have called me up and angrily yelled at me if The Saint was not in our top 10. It's one of his favorite movies.
Oh yeah, it's for me too. And the thing about The Saint is that I don't think people liked it all that much.
No.
I say that because I don't pay attention to them. It's just a vibe check that I get that people didn't like this movie very much. Yet, for me, it's Val Kilmer as an international thief and master of disguise.
Yes.
What are you saying right now? I was not
many glued on beards.
So many glued on beards. And oh my God, the tiny glasses and the wigs. Like I loved every bit of it. His performance is such a showcase of just, again, versatility, like his incredibly broad range. And I'm not saying that I watched that movie and like he disappears into every one of his parts. He's still Val Kilmer with wacky teeth, but I find myself so enamored by the charisma of that guy. And I was not a fan of the British TV show, right? I never watched it. I don't know anything about it.
That was one of those things that came out. It was too old for us. Like it never really hit like the
Nick at Night
replay circuit. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like,
right.
like I saw some of like the British The Avengers. Like that was still sort of, in the same way that like we saw The Monkeys or whatever.
Yes.
Like we didn't watch it live. Like it was, but they brought it back. It was in syndication. It was in circulation. But I don't feel like The Saint ever was.
No,
I feel like it could have had its moment and then it kind of went away. And then same thing with the movie. It had its moment and then it kind of went away.
Yeah, I think that's it, which is unfortunate because he has fantastic charisma with Elizabeth Shue in this movie. And I forget now, when did Cocktail come out where Tom Cruise got to have charisma with Elizabeth Shue?
Yeah, I think, was that 88?
That was much later. So the Saint was
memory with those things. So don't quote me.
The Saint was 97, and it felt a little bit to me like a we're just going to try and do a Cocktail do-over, but this time in the international crime ring arena, and I don't care. I love it. It is another movie. I think Ebert's quote could apply here. Like this is a movie that without Val Kilmer isn't much, but with him, it's kind of sings.
I would if I were ever going to do like a sort of like you do on your show, sort of a mini arc. There was a very interesting experimentation that was going on in the late 90s on trying to figure out what an action movie is now.
Yeah.
And The Saint is in that, and The Shadow is in that, and The Phantom is in that. There's some really interesting big swings and big misses, but some really interesting movies came out of it, and this was one of them. Yeah, so that was my pick in honor of Rob, as he would never let me live it down without it.
Well, you did it punitively. I did it honorably. Rob, I've got you.
All right, so I will go to one that is an interesting role because while Val Kilmer is a vital part of this movie, you never actually see him on screen, nor do you ever learn his character's name. Because I like you, Pete. I always have. I always will. As quote unquote mentor, Val Kilmer in True Romance.
True Romance.
Essentially, he's playing Elvis, even though they could never say that in the movie, but he's Clarence's version of Elvis that lives in his head. It's interesting thing, and like you said, you never see him. He's always just in the background or like slightly out of frame because he's kind of a delusion, because Clarence is not the most stable of people, but in another pantheon of fascinating performances in that movie, including Gary Oldman is one of the weirdest roles he's ever done, and that guy was
for sure.
That guy was in what, Tiptoes? Another standout, and even like Brad Pitt has like 2 scenes in that movie, and in all of these things, he still manages to be ultra cool without ever even showing up on screen.
That is such an extraordinarily good pick, as such a deep cut pick. It took me a minute to just think about, my God, he's right.
Yeah.
That's Kilmer.
Yeah.
It is so far afield from what I had expected of Val Kilmer. We did that one on the next reel, and I don't think we made a big enough deal. The fact that was Val Kilmer.
Honestly, True Romance is jam packed. The Tony Scott directing that and taking Tarantino's shattered narrative and straightening it out and making a better movie because you didn't have the shattered timeline and changing the ending. I mean, it's a fascinating thing, and he's just one small but vital part of it. But yeah, that was definitely one that I was, as soon as I was looking down the list, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that when I found that out, going, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, so that was my first alternate. You stole my real genius. So
well, all right. I'll see your True Romance, and I will raise you. I think, where am I? Am I on my number 2?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, here we go. I don't think this is a steal. I imagine this is not a steal. This is one that there are actually two creators involved in this, one being Val Kilmer, that if you took them out of the project, there might not be much left of it.
Okay.
And yet here, I love it. I really, really enjoy this. 2004, one of my favorite troubled writers directed one of his few directorial projects. It's David Mamet.
Oh, yes.
David Mamet gave us a gritty political thriller, and Val Kilmer gave us his mysterious special ops guy, just known as Scott. The movie is called Spartan from 2004. And this movie did not get a whole lot of attention. It is all about the kidnapping of a high-ranking, U.S. government official, blah-de-blah-de-blah. And yet, here we go. This is one that Ebert praised as Val Kilmer's best performance since Tombstone.
Wow.
And we've already talked about Tombstone.
That's right.
This movie actually gives us yet another side of Val Kilmer as this, not a goofy, the saint kind of international intrigue character, but as a legit special ops operative in a way that is absolutely gloriously believable. And I like this movie a hell of a lot. First, did you see it?
I did. I actually saw it when it originally came out. Like I remember going, I think, and I went because it's Val Kilmer. Like I was like, oh, Val Kilmer is an action hero. Oh, well, I liked all the other stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Sign me up.
Right. But it sounds like you're going to stop talking there and not share my glorious praise that I am heaping upon him.
I was looking as you were talking, I thought you'd be saying more because I was trying to look something up. I was trying to remember if this was the first David Mamet movie I see, because I remember watching it and going, I don't understand why they're talking like this. I remember just like going, but why you're using a lot of words in a very strange order? Why?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later that I sort of was able to go back into it. It was not that that's what I was looking. It was not the first of David Mamet singing I did, but it was maybe the most Mamet I had seen. It's full Mamet.
It's a lot of Mamet. Yeah. It's so much Mamet. And yet, like if you're a fan of Mamet, if you're a Vanya on 42nd Street, if you're a Glengarry, right? Like if you're one of those kinds of fans of Mamet, Spanish Prisoner, big one, The Edge, it was fine. Yeah, but Ronin is a top favorite of mine. Like if you're into this kind of David Mamet, then yeah, Spartan will appeal.
On a lot of the lists that I saw, that had come up a lot too, of people sort of saying, hey, when you're looking back at stuff, don't miss Spartan.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other trivia thing as I was looking up. Do you remember who the girl was that he was trying to find? What actress played the kid?
Oh, no, I don't. What was her name?
Kristen Bell.
Oh my goodness.
Veronica Mars herself as a young actress. She was the one who was there. He was hunting down to try and find, right?
So funny. No, the ones that come back to me, Macy, obviously William H. Macy is fantastic. Val Kilmer is fantastic. I think, Clark Gregg, dear
Clark
friend
Gregg.
of the show, Clark Gregg.
That's right. The show Clark Gregg.
Yeah. So Spartan. I think it's worth watching. It's my number 2. Again, I'm bouncing all over the place, Kyle.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's all about range, baby.
This is what we do at Take 10.
This is it.
So all right, so then you stole my Saint. So my other alternate. So my last one is a little film I find once again much more probably interesting than good. And I think there's a way to enjoy it more. And I don't mean by consuming an edible, because I have seen the title characters of these in real life. I can attest to the power of the ghost and the darkness. This is a
wait, both together, Kyle?
Both together
do go
at
on.
the same time. They are in Chicago. They are on display. So this is a film with Val Kilmer obviously is like the second lead under Michael Douglas, and this is a William Goldman written script about 2 lions that decide to become manhunters essentially and are killing workers as they're trying to build this bridge to get the train to go across. And so Val Kilmer is just the architect who's in charge of getting the bridge built, and then they hire in Michael Douglas's hunter character to come in and hunt these 2 lions, and it becomes this man versus nature kind of story. Like I said, it's not a great movie, but it is both great performance. But it gets so much better if you read William Goldman's book, Adventures in the Screen Trade, where he has a whole chapter devoted to the production of this movie, how it started, and then how it became what it became. If you read that and then watch the movie, you appreciate it on a very different level as like, oh, this is what Hollywood does.
Yeah.
So you can go in and watch it as just a, guys running around shooting lions, or you can go, well, but here's like how the story was, like, here's the real story, here's how it started out, and here's how it changed when it got into stars and got involved.
It's a sad, sad state when Val Kilmer has so many of those kinds of stories in his catalog, right? Yeah. And it's not on my list because why would it be? But what was the one he did with Dr. Moreau?
Oh yes, I love Dr. Moreau. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah. Was that your number 1? I'm sorry, I don't mean to pull the rug out.
That was the Ghost Sharkers ended up being my number 1. So that was my last one.
Okay.
I would say whatever whatever dishonorable mention, I guess I would put Island of Dr. Moreau, because that's another fascinating story. There's an entire, like, if you dig into the history of that movie, I think there's a like sort of black market. There's a documentary about the making of that movie that is fascinating, about the original director who got fired and then snuck back onto the set as an extra. It's, once again, fascinating. And for those who are deeply into like the Hollywood of it all, those 2 are companion pieces are fascinating. So that was so good. So dishonorable mention to Dr. Moreau. Once again, not interesting, not at all good.
Not good. Not good. Where does that put us?
This is it. This is your last one. This is it.
All right.
Yeah, is your number 1.
There are obviously the guy's full of so many fantastic movies, but in terms of playing on the angle that we have such a massive range in this guy, I have to pick The Doors, Jim Morrison. Okay. And it's because that was everything else we've talked about. It's Val Kilmer, and I never get lost and forget that it's Val Kilmer. Not until The Doors, not until Jim Morrison, not until I see him get absolutely lost in this guy's identity. The movie is, I remember it as a good movie, but this one, 1991, like I was in a place where I was in college. I was in college for performance. I was studying actors and acting and directing, and as a result, like this movie just shone for me. And of course, I got into the music. Like it's not music from my era, so I didn't have much of a connection to it beyond my parents until I saw this movie and realized that here's a guy who can completely bamboozle me into thinking that he's a real life guy. And I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I know it's kind of a rough pick because it's one of those that everybody sort of agrees this is one of his finest performances. And sure. I hate like shooting right across the bow like that. But
well, hey, I started out with Tombstone, so I mean, like,
yeah,
I'm
right
there with you. Like, what greatness has to be acknowledged. Like,
yeah.
It was a singular performance that the people are still talking about now. Like, no one, like, how many Dylan documentary biographies have there been now? and yet no one has gone and touched the Doors at all because no one can do
the Doors.
No one can stand up to it.
Well, you had an honorable mention. I'm going to throw just an honorable mention because of the adjacent, getting lost in the part thing. I have to mention James Cox made a film in 2003 called Wonderland, where Val Kilmer takes on the role of John Holmes. Yes. And it's a dramatization of the Laurel Canyon murders, which I didn't know anything about. And Kilmer ends up again kind of losing himself in the part. Not as good as The Doors, and I saw it well after The Doors, so it is one of those movies that I recognize chronologically came first, but I think it was still just a stepping stone to what we got in Jim Morrison. Still, his performance is crazy good in this movie, even if you don't end up being crazy about the movie itself. It also has kind of a strange cast, right? Lisa Kudrow, Christina Applegate, Kate Bosworth, Carrie Fisher. It's stacked in a really unique way, this movie. So, it's I would also say it's worth seeing.
Yeah, my honorable mention is Deja Vu, another collaboration with him and Tony Scott.
Sure,
Tony Scott, one of my all-time favorite directors. That was another one of those like, so they don't make anymore. It's kind of like this, like sort of a mid-budget, big concept Denzel Washington like thriller with a sci-fi twist to it. I mean, he's supporting character in that too, but it's still one of those just great sort of Sunday afternoon movies you could just throw on and enjoy.
Yeah.
But he had 103 credits on IMDb, which is a pretty good run. And I say any of these that we mentioned anyone would kill to have a movie as good as this on the resume. And yet he's got so many, you could barely get through them all. Do you want to play the IMDb game? Because I can tell you all four of them are ones that we have picked. So from our 10.
Okay, let's do it. What does IMDb think?
Yeah, what does IMDb think of the top 4 Val Kilmer performances? I'll make it even easier for you. 3 of them are yours.
Okay. Well, I'll go for the one that I think is yours is Willow.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. When I say that it is considered his career best performance as Jim Morrison, I think IMDb agrees with that. I think
you are correct on that. Yes.
Okay. I
would say The Doors is a 7.2. I know you and Andy love your numbers and your dots.
Right.
Willow, also 7.2.
Okay. I'll watch it. God, for crying out loud, I'll watch it again, Kyle. I think the power of Shane Black, Robert Downey Jr., and Val Kilmer in one movie is something the algorithm cannot ignore. I think Kiss
correct.
Kiss Bang Bang
7.5. Kiss
Oh, yes.
Bang Bang.
Okay. And so the other ones, the last one is on my list.
Yeah. I'd say which means Tombstone is not there. Tombstone is not in the top 4.
Oh my God. That's what that means.
I know. This is why the IMDb game is so bizarre because what?
You know what else is not on the list, which I'm feeling a little bit bad about?
Okay.
Because I think it's not on IMDb's list. It's not on either of ours either. Is Heat.
Yes. Heat. Once again, like playing third lead and still, holding it up with the big boys. Like,
all right. So what do I have?
And Kilmer. Like,
what else did I have? I had Spartan. It's not Spartan.
It's not Spartan.
Real Genius and The Saint. Mm-hmm. So it's between Real Genius and The Saint.
Yeah,
The Saint.
It's The Saint. Isn't that bizarre? Like, once again, we like
that was like a Hail Mary pass.
But I mean, I did narrow the field for you, but I mean, 6.2 on the star scale.
It's pretty good. How is it a 6.2 with the kind of just sort of reputation that it has?
Yeah,
as too goofy. You'll note one thing I think that's important. While we missed the ball, I think we missed the ball with Heat. I should have put Heat on there, and I might have swapped out Spartan for it. But I just think Spartan's underserved. And I think it needs more attention. Heat doesn't need any help. But I do think that it is of note that neither of us picked a Top Gun movie.
No.
And I wasn't ever even close to picking a Top Gun movie.
Nor was I.
And I'm relieved that we were on the same page.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with the Top Gun. People go crazy for Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. It's fine. Like I was that also came out, but that didn't really have that kind of impact on me where I just saw because even let's get a friend of the show, Mandy Fabian, like Top Gun is maybe one of her in her top 10 movies of all time. Like she absolutely adores it. It just kind of went. I was like, yeah, that was a movie that I saw and enjoyed. It just didn't resonate with me. And as great as all these performances are, I feel like other people could have done Iceman and they would have done a fine job. It wasn't the most strenuous acting roles.
As seen in Top Gun Maverick, it's full of Icemen.
Right.
Like any one of them.
But to weigh in on the debate that's been going on since then, Iceman was right.
Iceman was right.
Like that's where I come down on the.
Okay.
Like he was right. Like
all the more reason not to pick the movie.
Exactly. Iceman was right. So, as we're going along, the weird thing that came up for me is I did not realize that from 2008 to 2009, he was the voice of Kit on the reboot of Knight Rider. Did you know this?
No, I did not. And it's perfect.
Val Kilmer was the voice of Kit. Right. I don't even remember that show. Like, was Hasselhoff in it? I don't know. So it's we'll have to dig into the archives to find out. But it was one of those.
What's really interesting about it to me is just how many titles he was in after I sort of lost track of what he was doing, whether it's voice work, whether it's TV. Like he was just in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, even after
the mid 2000s,
his health issues started. He still continued to work.
Yeah.
So that's what a performer wants is like right to the end to be still on the stage as long as you can.
He was in the sequel to Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans.
Yeah.
Werner Herzog's entry into the Bad Lieutenant franchise.
Another one of those like interesting that movie even exists kind of thing. Like,
it's a 6.6 on the IMDb scale, Kyle. You watch your mouth.
It's The Saint, that's for sure. So
all right.
Well, there we go. So there's not, and by no means a definitive list, but certainly our favorite performances, the things that meant a lot to us. So yeah, we did lose one of the great ones, but luckily the magic of cinema is that these performances will live on long past. So our best to all the Val Kilmer, his friends and family, and all the fans. Luckily, we were alive at the same time as him that we got to see these amazing performances. So Pete, thank you very much for this was very much thrown together at the last minute of this really meant a lot and I really wanted to do something. So thank you for jumping in at the last minute and doing something because there's sometimes you these things go by and you go, oh, it's terrible. And then some things they hit you pretty hard. This one hit me pretty hard. So I wanted to do something to honor it.
Well, I'm thrilled you asked because I, like you find out the news and suddenly all of this comes washing back in a torrent. And so it it was kind of an easy list insofar as it was a hard list. It was an easy list because I got a lot of love for the guy. So thanks for having me.
All right, so Pete's going to go watch Willow. So we'll let you go and pick one of these many, many fantastic performances. And who knows if you enjoy this, let people know. And we'll do more of these kind of things as we go along. Pete, if people would like to perhaps contribute, let's say, half of it's a take 10. So like if they want to do like half of take 10, which would be like 5, so if they want to give you like $5, is there a place where they could like maybe give you $5 and maybe get something pretty cool?
Well, there is. It's if you head over to truestory.fm/join, you will see the iconic page of icons of all of the member support programs that we offer, and supporting the show gets you early access to episodes a week before they come out, gets you access to extended episodes when we do extended stuff, and mostly it just helps us keep the lights on and keep sending checks to our podcasters. So we really, really appreciate your support. The entire network appreciates your support, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you, Kyle, for letting me do a plug.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you further on up the road.
End program.